everybody to listen to, but you young officials really need to listen to this if that's your goal to get to this level. He's going to talk about what it takes. He's going to talk about his journey, things that he's done with certain people to get there, and what it really, really takes. And the professionalism. See, we can talk about professionalism like we did at the last camp, and what we talked about a little bit here, you know, but he's living it now. He's living it. You know, so I'm going to bring to you Randall Wells. He's also a state trooper. And so he's dividing work and officiating. That's another thing you have to do. If you have a job, if you have a family, you got to make some decisions with this officiating stuff. But you younger officials, I don't know if you have all that. I did, but I was a coach first. That son out there is older than you guys. That's my prom baby. Yes, I had him on her prom. That's the truth, man. That's what people don't like about Vern, because he tell the truth. No. That's what it is. And he don't say, I just said it in front of his face. But I'm telling you, young officials, don't make these, and it's not a mistake, but don't make these things where in your life it's going to alter you to have to do other things.
It goes back to what kind of speech did we say something that could be misconstrued one way or the other?
I don't care what nobody said on my kids. I took care of it. I say what I want to say. I love them to death. But anyway, so get back to Randall. Will, step up, young man. Let's give him a little hand here. And this is my prom rap baby. This referee Kim. The man is your work. He is old. Woo.
Yeah, my name is Randall Wells. Give you a little bit of backdrop about me. I'm 30 years old. How I essentially got into refereeing was because of my old man. He refereed at the time I was playing college football. So how I made some money was start refereeing. So I started refereeing. I was doing boy games, girls games, A and B games. I was just trying to make money to supplement being in school and just having some type of income in my pocket. So I don't got to go ask my parents for money. So that's kind of how I started. And then during the course of working, I got connected with people like Vern and different people that had helped me along my journey and just showed me different possibilities of what refereeing can provide for you. For some people that is blessed with opportunities, referee can provide for their family, can provide for them because the opportunities is there. And how I got into it was just really just to make money. And along my course, I realized like, hey, you could possibly do something with this and try to make it somewhat of a career. Because in all actuality, refereeing or officiating, regardless of what like sport, basketball, football, it's a vocation, essentially. But if you take it the right way, if you, I guess, go about things the right way, it can become a vocation if you are serious enough to pursue that goal or that dream. So for me, I worked. I just worked during the summer. I worked A and B games. I did everything to the point where I got to varsity basketball. And when I got to varsity basketball, that's when you had to like understand there's a difference between just going out here making money versus like this being your craft and you working at it. And if you go about that being your craft and working at it, it can behoove you extremely. And for me, I've just been blessed with like opportunities. I was at the right place at the right time, people took a liking to me, and I showed that I was trying to take the initiative to get better. And if that is getting better, you mess up on one play, you're forgetting about that one play, and just go to the next play, and just kind of like wipe that off and advance through the game, and just try to get better and get better. And you getting better might not be you blowing the whistle a lot. It could be you just having the discipline to not blow the whistle when it's not a foul. Like that play that they talked about earlier on who had an angle. You know, sometimes you could be the closest official and have the worstest angle, but you have the discipline enough to know that you don't have a good angle, but it's 3 of you guys in total, and that's a team. So you know that if you don't have a good angle, you trust in your partner that where the play might open up to them, and knowing that you put that trust in them, that they gonna make a decision if it's a foul or if it's not a foul. And that's hard to do because you're right there on top of the play, but you got the worst angle. And it's hard, but if you know that you're working and you continue to do things the right way every time, those good habits that you develop, when this big game comes, it doesn't faze you. It's just like you're doing it one way, and that one way is the way that is the correct way. So that's a little bit out of how it went. But essentially, I started refereeing, and then I made my way into college. I worked small time college. I still currently do. And then eventually, I got the opportunity to go to a Division I camp, and then I got hired. You know, but it wasn't. I didn't get hired the first go around. Like I had to go back, and once I got hired, then that's even more responsibility. You know, that comes with it. But,
No, I just wanted to ask you, did you get hired the first time?
no, I mean when you go to camps, any camp, I mean teaching camp, a hiring camp, any of those, you kind of have to have a mindset. Someone told me this, and it's true. You got to work hard. You got to be able to listen to your clinicians, and you got to be able to apply the things that they just told you either at halftime or after the game, and apply it to either the next half or the next game that you have, so that you show that you're teachable and that you don't know everything. Because there's multiple ways to skin a cat. So you might hear how the process of play 4 or 5 different ways for 4 or 5 different people. You just take bits and pieces of that information and you try to like cultivate that into yourself so that you can just become a better official, because that's ultimately why we all here. We all here to try to become better. And you're not gonna get every play right. You're never gonna have a perfect game, and if you do have a perfect game, it's probably a forfeit. And that's really welcome.
You mentioned about working to get to, college level, but you said that's just the beginning. So now that you're there, what are some of the things that you have to do every single year to stay there?
Yeah. Kind of like doing this, like going to camp. That's one. Because you want to get in front of your supervisors that's giving you these games, and you want to show them that progression that you have developed over the season, but not only over the season, but what you have done in the summer, going to camp to show that growth, essentially. But also, too, the biggest thing is 2 things. You want to pass the eye test. When you step on the floor, I can tell you this, the 2 things that they want to see is, are you in shape? Can you run up and down the floor? That's like 1-on-1. They say yes to those 2, then okay, you're good. But then they're gonna say, can you work? And now that's when you have to go on the floor and show them that you can work and referee. But those 2 things are huge. Like when you get to that level, you gotta look like you can go out there and run up and down the floor with these athletes, because these are some of the best athletes you go come out on the floor. Division I, Division II, 3, JUCO, high school. Everyone is able to run. So you got to be able to be athletically fit to be able to go out here, get to the plays, get your plays right, but more importantly, you got to be able to get into a position to get plays right, and that's like the big thing.
So you mentioned teaching camp versus working camp. Give me the difference.
So there's some camps out here where, when I say teaching, they're teaching a philosophy. It's not so much in this particular area, but it's camps that you can go out to where they teach a philosophy of officiating. And it can be broken down or more geared towards the college route and how college officiating is taught. And then it's teaching camps where it's more geared towards like the pro game and how pro officiating is taught. So it's a difference between that versus a hiring camp in the collegiate level is you pay some money, whatever that may be, to go to a camp with a supervisor that has either one conference or a couple conferences. You go there, you go and work to hopefully to get hired. And then if you get hired, then that starts the process of you just working for that supervisor for whatever conferences they may have. And then you probably go back the next year, but that's kind of the difference between the hiring and teaching.
So the key thing you mentioned is being ready to go to those camps. Investing in yourself the right way. So example, some of you don't work for me, some of you don't work for Pam, some of you don't work for Clarence, I'm sorry. Some of you don't work for Clarence. You are investing in yourself to get hired. But we also train and develop before you get hired because we have so many levels, starting with grammar school, with Pam, and high school, and all those levels. This is where you get opportunity to start. But as you go up to the next level, which is college, you mentioned the eye test, you're going to invest more money because those camps cost way more than $55 first of all. And you may have to travel, so you may have to get a hotel room. You're going to have to eat. The camp may be for 3 days. You may have 3 games each day, and there's a different assigner or a different clinician with you each day. So if you're not ready, I suggest you don't go to those camps and just give your money away. Now, if you go 1 year to see if you're ready, that's different. Just to see if I'm ready, see where I'm at, see my competition. Because one thing you have to realize, you are in competition with each other when it comes to being hired on certain levels of basketball. You can easily go out there and do those games all summer. But when the season starts, when March comes, that's when you know who the big time officials are in any state. Because those are the ones that are working. Playoff games and things of that nature. And that's what you want to be around. You gotta go watch as well. You gotta have a mentor as well. So I became his mentor 8 years ago. And he was introduced to me by Kiki. Kiki said, Vern, I got somebody that's your protege, just like you. You was growing up. You need to get a hold of him. He said, okay. He called me, started coming watch me work. But he came in there with what? A notepad and a pen. He said, he asked questions. So then we talked about, I said, what you talking about? Oh, it was in the first quarter. I said, let's start right in the period and the time. So at 2:10 in the first, we called travel. What did you see on that play? That's the verbiage. We're talking verbiage again now to use. At 2:10 in the first quarter, we called a travel, we called a foul. You had a goaltender. What made it a goaltender? So that's how our relationship started. So that's what you got to do. Now my question to you, Randall, and you might not know this answer because you spent a lot. How much money you spent on campus?
You spent some money.
Two-part question. In 2 years.
For example, I go to camp in July, and the camp fee $550. But that's just my camp fee. doesn't include how I get there, my lodging, the food. So I mean, you're gonna spend money when you start getting to some of these camps, but understanding that when you spend that money, you're investing in yourself.
Now that camp.
So
that
I got a two-part question.
Okay.
So you work the Big East, correct?
I don't work the Big East.
You work what?
I work the American East.
American East. I start right there. What's one game fee in the American East? One game fee. Everybody knows.
Say it. Say it. Just say it. Just say it.
It's over 1,500.
So, all right, so leave it at that, over 1,500. Now, this is the point I'm getting at. You spend $550, you spend maybe another travel, let's say 400 and 100 for food. Okay, so that's 1,150. You work one game, now you're 350 a head. If you get 5 games, that's the point I'm trying to make. That goes in high school as well. You spend $55 here today, or 25, or 55 total. You get 80 for one varsity game. You get 72 for a JV game. You already hit. That's just one game. That's investing in yourself. So it ain't as bad as people think.
So you mentioned, but I get 2 questions for you. You mentioned about going to camp and paying $550. This particular camp that you're going to, is this a camp that you've been assigned? You worked for previously?
I worked for a couple conferences on the East Coast, and this camp is it's an invite camp, it's a hiring camp, but also my supervisor that I currently work for is going to be at this camp. So me going to the camp, it helps me get in front of my supervisors that I work for to possibly increase my schedule.
Okay.
That's
So
how
my next question is, you've been to this camp before, correct?
that is my second year.
Okay, second year. So the first year you went to that camp, approximately how many campers were there trying to get hired?
So at the time, when I went last year for my first time going there, I was already hired in one of the conferences. But let's just say 125 people. It could be maybe 50 of those people working some of the conferences that my alliance covers. So I don't know. But when I say people trying to get hired, I was one of them. I mean, I was trying to get hired in other conferences as well as increase my schedule in the conference I work for. So let's just say 50, around 150, 50. It might be probably even more, honestly. But in terms of like going to these camps, and this is like super important, is you want to invest in yourself where you don't have to spend a lot of money going to all these different camps where you're not getting anything out of it. When you go to spend some money, you want to be ready and be prepared so that you can be hired, so that you're not, how I call it, becoming a donor. When you start giving away like $200, $300, and you're not getting anything out of that camp, nor are you getting hired, you're just giving that person $300, and you're not getting anything out of it. So like when you have good people that's in your area that got good knowledge and like can invest in you, like giving you knowledge to help you grow here, so that when you go to camp, you're prepared. Like, I'll tell you, there's 2 people I talk to on the daily, well really 3. I talk to Randall on the daily, I talk to Mal Kason on the daily, and I talk to Lamar Simpson on the daily. Those 3 people I talk to probably during the basketball season. I think I talk to Lamar, Mal, and Vern probably every day. At least probably 3 or 4 times a day. I don't know how I figure it out, but driving in between games, driving in between work, just talk,
Home from games.
you just talk about play situations. You talk about how to handle coaches, how to handle players, how to handle being in a new environment and dealing with the stress of being in a new environment. Because for me, last year, that was a new environment. I refereed basketball, but I never worked Division I basketball before. Never had those coaches. I'm coming in uncharted territory, and I'm going to see players. Plays ain't different. The plays aren't different. It's just we just have different players. all these plays are the same. Some of the same plays you see here, you're gonna see, probably saw in the Boston Celtics game in the finals. It's just, people are a little bit taller, maybe a little bit stronger. But the true fundamentals of how you officiate, you learn at this level. Everyone learns. Bitty ball to high school. And everyone you see on TV, Mark Davis, Capers, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you all kind of learn here. That's like, you gotta start somewhere, you know. But how you go about your work every day and every year can determine if you do end up on TV or if you don't. If you want to go that route. That's all.
So it's one thing he said to all of us. I talk to them daily. We talk about plays, we talk about situations, how to handle coaches. What didn't he say we talk about? That we don't talk about, that we shouldn't talk about. Other officials, our partners. He didn't say that, did he? We gotta stop that. We got, man, I had to play, man, my partner had to play really, but he didn't call us, so I took the play and the coach talked to me and I went over there and said, well, he's supposed to have it, but you're opening up a can of worms. Stop talking about your partners. Do you. Do the best you can do. It's called 33 and a third on that court. Everybody got 33 and a third % of work to do. Sometimes you have to go out to 33 and a third to help your partner, not to talk about it. To help. Because we all are a team. If us three missing, there's something missing, they say he should have had it, it's on all three of us. It's on all three of us. They're going to say, who worked the game? That's what they're going to ask. It was his primary. Who worked the game? Help your partner. Don't talk.
So you're talking about a lot of things that leads up to you working or getting hired. So being hired as an official at your level, talk about your studying the rules, video, what happens when you kick a call on a game, all that kind of, all of that stuff, so they can understand.
So I work for a supervisor. One of my supervisors, at halftime, he'll call the whole crew, call the crew chief, put everybody on the phone, and talk about a play that either we got wrong or we got right, or how we handled the situation that he didn't like and how we should have handled it. Those things that we talk about daily. A lot of my conferences, if the game is 6 points or less, we have to submit, well, every game we have to submit 3 plays that we got wrong. And he gonna tell you, if you're trying to submit a play, like, everybody know, okay, this is what happened. You go send it back to me and be like, send me another play. So you wanna, how you get better is sitting or talking to people that you trust and knows what they're doing. And you send them and talk about plays you got wrong. Your plays. I mean, you have plays that like some of your partners have that as a crew we got wrong. But how you get better is talking about the plays that you have, and you talk about like what was going on in your mind and how you processed the play, and maybe where you maybe went wrong, or how you got the play wrong, or just hearing a different angle on where like someone might say like that 3-point shot, you know, I think it was not a foul. Someone thought it was not a foul, but his angle had a foul because the guy came down on his foot. So like those different things is how you can get better and improve. All you want to do is just get plays right. You're not gonna get every play right, but at least you know that's where you're striving for. Well, does that answer your question?
Like during the off season, what are you doing like daily and or weekly, like leading up to these camps to get ready? If you're not seeing plays like a lot,
I mean, you try like to work some games, you know, when summertime comes, you know, you got summer basketball. So you try to like get some plays, but I mean, honestly, how you can get better than something where you're not working, you just go back and watch your film and look at things that either the supervisor told you about and see how you can correct it prior to you going to camp. show that what they told you, you processed, and you was able to apply. And that's the biggest thing in camp, man. Like, the clinician's going to tell you something. You just want to be able to show them that you can apply that stuff that they told you real time. And then they tell you something that you know is like wrong. Process it, kind of do it when they're there. And then once you get done with that game, then you can like, maybe take bits and pieces of the information that they told you, and then go from there.
So he said, the supervisor sitting and processing plays, watching plays. You can't do that until you learn how to do that by yourself. You can't do that by yourself until you learn how to. So you need to watch the plays and watch situations with someone that can help you with those plays. Because you may not understand the angle they're talking about, the situations they're talking about, time and presence of the game. There's a lot of calls that are not, there's a lot of fouls that are not called when the score is 65, and 3 seconds left, or 6 seconds left. Officials in their minds say, okay, let the players make the decision, go in overtime. The decision has been made because there was a foul. There was a foul. Well, you didn't call it because you said let it go in overtime. Now, you got to come with a key word after that. It was marginal. But if he hit him and everybody's seen it, it's got to be fouled. So make sure you watch and play with people that can help you get better. Reverend. What's up, Rev? Who's talking? Y'all know the Reverend? Charles Thomas, Mr. Reverend.
Say you want to talk about professionalism?
Yeah, a little bit. So I want to try to talk about a college level of professionalism compared to a high school level. You have a game in New York on Saturday. When do you have to be there?
Depending on the time, it's in the contract, but usually Saturday, it's a 1 o'clock game, most likely, so I have to be in town the day before. It just really depends on the contract and the time, the start of the game, on when I have to be in town. Or like, I live here in Chicago, so for guys that work on the East Coast, you know, they don't have to, they live in New York or they live in Boston, they got to drive to New York. They just drive, they wake up on Saturday and drive, you know, to New York from Boston. So it varies.
How do you balance work and then?
Good supervisor. Really good supervisor. No, but honestly,
Can I intervene on that one right quick? So he has a good supervisor, but he does the right things too. And the right thing is what? Take care of your supervisor.
yeah.
On Christmas, on birthdays. Look out for your supervisor.
No, I mean my supervisor, she's amazing. My work schedule has improved. It got better for me for officiating. But what I try to do is I try to let my supervisor know when like, hey, I gotta go out of town or different things like that. And then she gives me the okay or the blessing to say, hey, you can go. And like I'm off on the weekend, so it helps with basketball. But during the week and stuff like that, I kind of have to move things around. And if I can't do it for refereeing, then like I can't do it. Like my job comes first. Like that what pays bills, like health, dental, all that is through my job. So like understand that you got to take care of your job, your family first, and then officiate.
Yeah,
Because
so
once you flip it, it's gonna be really hard to like get it back the right way.
Officiating should be full time when you flip it. That means that you're
well, yeah, so it's like
you're
that's
in the
what I'm asking.
NBA.
Like, because there's officials that you see like D1, it's like this guy went to 5 different cities and whatever.
Yeah.
Like
So he's a top tier official.
Right.
I mean,
One official.
I've been to I have 4 game swings where I've been to Maine, to New York, and Next day I was in New Hampshire, and then I was in Boston. I just had the time off at the time, so like it worked for me. But like at times, I gotta tell my supervisor, hey, I'm not available during this span because I like my unit that I'm in is a violent crimes unit, so I'm on call for 1 week at a time, and like during that 1 week, I gotta block it off where I can't go out because my job comes first, and I gotta make sure that's okay before I can go referee because my bosses eventually will be like, hey, look, I know you like doing this, but it's affecting your job. So
And
you
the
gotta
other
put
thing he
things in
does
perspective.
is in the summertime, when he's not officiating D1 basketball and he's not going to camp, he gives his boss more time. So all of his team that he's with, they might say, well, I want this time off now. He'll say, okay, I'll work for so-and-so on my off days. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give back as well when you got a full-time job that is not officiated. But those big-time officials, you know, that work Division I, and they're all over the place, that's their full-time job. NBA officials that's on the NBA portal as an official, that's their full-time job. Benny Maru, who's on the WNBA full-time, and he's on the NBA part-time portal. He can get called up at any time. He only did 2 games, NBA games this year, but he's doing the W right now. He's a substitute teacher, so he's still teaching. So you have to understand what your logistics are with your job, like Randall was saying, family, all those different things. Another question?
So, I know you said that doing the American East was this your first, second year?
This is my second year or something.
Okay, D1. So that means you had to make the adjustment from IHSA, you know, up to that. Tell me, was there like, is there a significant difference in your pregame with your coaches, or is it pretty much the same with maybe a couple of stipulations?
So with our pregame at college, at all levels, we don't have coaches pregame. We just have players. We do it. It's really like it's not informal, but mid-season, everybody has said everything underneath the sun, different ways. So it's nothing new. In the beginning of the season, you might talk a little bit longer to just talk about the point of emphasis, which they know or they should know, but it's really like simple. My pregame is very short. You got anything? Nope. You got anything? Nope. If we trying to talk to you, listen to us. That's the one thing I gotta say. And that's pretty much it. Because once you get to some of these players and they continue to like rise up, they know the game of basketball. But the most important thing for me, and like me officiating, I'm gonna keep the best players on the floor because that's how your game stays good. If you don't have the best players on the floor, it can get sloppy, and then you can have issues. So like when people talk about talking to players and stuff like that, I do that. I try to talk them out of fouls. Fouls is fouls, but you want to put quality fouls on quality players. And if it's a foul discrepancy, I give you a little bit of tidbit. If it's a foul discrepancy and it's like pretty bad, I was told something and I was like, oh, I like that. When the best players come off the floor for like a break, and then those subs come in, if there's a huge foul discrepancy between the two, I put fouls on the subs. The best players on the bench, they gonna want them to play. Them subs gonna get funneled in and out. But if you got like 7-1, and there's fouls that's there that you think we're not missing them, but they're just not fouling. If it's something that's close, you might put a foul on the sub to just decrease that foul mark. I'm not saying make anything up, but that's the game management portion of what you need to incorporate in your game to just make the game smoother and easier.
And so to counter back on what you're asking about pre-games, so in college, we have a meeting before the season. And any new rules, they want us to kind of implement that to the captains in the pregame. All right, you guys know about the new flopping rule. When the flopping rule came out, just be aware of that. We will be calling that. Okay, when the RA came out, restricted area. You guys know the RA, you got to be set. You know, now it's upward motion, off the dribble, you know, the secondary defender come over, they're looking for more blocks instead of charges on those, you know, even though they're out of the restricted area. So we may enlighten them like 2 or 3 games before when the season starts, but they got to get it. These are young men, young women, they got to get it. So we don't talk a lot, like he's saying, you know, hey, talk to them, you talk to them, let's go. Y'all got any questions? Let's go. And we ready to roll with men and women basketball. And the NBA, they grab the ball, they check the ball. How you been? Good? Yup, good. Done. Game ball, secondary ball, third ball. So if this guy ball get pop on it, a beer on it, come with the sack. That's how they do it. There's no talking, because they know NBA officials, and Mark will tell you all this tomorrow, they know all the players. They know what they do. They know who their shooter is. They know Steph Curry. Y'all watch Steph Curry and say, oh, he's the #1 shooter. But they know his angles, everywhere he's going to go. You know, sometimes he tricks him, and then he goes to the basket, and they don't call it. And then they come back the next day, at 7:42 in the fourth, that was a foul. Once for Steph Curry, it should have been a foul. Because he's going to the basket all of a sudden, but they still shooting jump shots. So they're watching them to land this space for them. So all this stuff just matters at each level. You know, it's just a little different tone of voice. We don't talk to no coach. We go shake their hand.
Yeah.
At the started, before the game started, we go shake everybody's hand, the coach's hand, all the coaches. Good luck. That's it. Any more questions?
Yeah, I'm going that way.
Which way?
Yeah, back out, we have a meeting.
Okay, thank you, sir.